How's it going, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ricky Reed, and today we're going to be talking about MIDI. So the reason I'm making this video is when I first started getting into switchers and MIDI pedals, there weren't too many great videos on YouTube. But today we're super lucky. There's some awesome companies. GigRig has done an awesome video where Dan shows all the MIDI capabilities of the G3, but my favorite ones have been the Morningstar engineering ones. I'll link those in the descriptions. They go over all the basics and all the in-depth things that you would need to know about MIDI. So go check those out. So first off, let's do some basics. We need to know two terms: program change and control changes. Program changes, PCs, are just ways that our switcher tells our MIDI pedals to go between certain patches or certain banks. Then we have control changes and CC notes. This is where things can get a little complicated, but also super cool. CC notes can control almost any parameter inside of your MIDI pedal, and it depends on the brand or the model that you have. But with the Strymon stuff, you can control things like mix, decay, all the BPMs, whatever you need with the CC note function. Now that we know those two terms, let's hop to the board and I'll show you how I have the MIDI channel set up with my GigRig. All right, so we got the GigRig down here. In my MIDI channel 1, we have the Mobius. Then on MIDI channel 2, we have the Timeline. In MIDI channel 3, we have the Big Sky. If you don't know how to set what channel your MIDI pedal receives on, let me show you real quick. So we'll use the Timeline right here. We're gonna hold down Value to go into our global menu. We're gonna scroll all the way over to MIDI CH, MIDI channel. And then on the Strymons, you can go all the way to 16, which is great. I wanna set this at 2. And then the other thing you need to know is MIDI through on these, because I'm just connecting them from the GigRig all the way across. You need to make sure that is set to through. And do that with all your pedals and you'll be good to go. All right, so my biggest tip for you when using MIDI is to use a set template. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like, but essentially on each patch, even if these pedals aren't on, I wanna make sure that it is the same exact layout every time to make editing quick, and if I need to do it on the fly, just flawless. All right, to start off, I'm gonna go to a patch that is gonna use all 3 Strymon pedals on at once. And it is to be noted that I don't have these in the loop of the GigRig, so I'm gonna have an extra command that I'll explain in just a moment. So we're gonna go down here, go into the MIDI menu. We're going MIDI out because we wanna go out from the switcher into the pedals. We're gonna go there. I'm gonna scroll to the top right here. So as you can see, I have 6 commands. And so this is where my template begins. I wanna use these first 2 command strips to go to the Mobius, then the next 2 to go to the Timeline, and then the next 2 to go to the Big Sky. The reason I'm doing this is because when I first started, I would put the first 3 MIDI commands next to each other. Then on the 4th line, I would have the CC note function on it. And that would just make me have to jump around a bunch of times or just go into the wrong one. So now I just have them right next to each other. So if I wanted to adjust the Mobius, I just know that I need to adjust the first 2 MIDI commands. So as I was saying, I don't have my Strymon pedals in the loop of my pedal. So my commands 1, 3, and 5 are going to be my CC note commands that are going to turn these pedals on or off. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go into it. I have my on MIDI channel 1, so this is sending to the Mobius. CC plus, and I don't know how it is in the GigRig, but even if I change it over to like CC minus or anything like that, it still works. So I just use CC plus just to keep it simple. Now, this is where you're gonna have to deep dive into your manual of your certain pedal. For the Strymons, the function that controls on or off is CC number 102. Now, CC notes only go from 0 to 127 as far as the value go. So if I want a Strymon pedal on, I send 127. If I want it off, then I send 0. So let me go out of here. I'm gonna switch to a different preset. As I click it on, this light will not come on again. So if I wanna turn it back on, I go back in here, MIDI command 1, right? We're going to CC. I wanna change it to 127 to tell it to turn the Strymon pedal on, and it won't engage until I hit the next foot swish. And now it's on. I do that for every pedal right off the bat. So I do that on 1 in this command strip 3. The next number is MIDI channel 2, so that is going to the Timeline. It's the same exact command. Then strip 5, MIDI channel 3 is doing the same thing, so it's turning all 3 on. So let's say we're still messing with the Mobius. So we got it on, and that's exactly what we want to do, right? Now the next one is our MIDI command 2 going to channel 1 again, PC, and same thing, for some reason, like PC minus does the same exact thing. Now we go into it. We turn it on. We're going to MIDI channel 1 with the Mobius. We want to select program change because we want to change the patch that we have. And patches, remember, are just going in between different patches or presets that you have on your pedal. So we're going to go over. Now, this is where things get a little funky, especially with the Strymon thing. I am on bank 0. I'd like to think bank 1, right? Preset 1, but they call it bank 0, preset 0. So you got to make sure that whatever pedal you're using, however the verbiage is, you figure it out. You can kind of mess with the numbers and see what your preset is, but just on the Strymon stuff, you have to go, it's kind of like -1, whatever you think. So I want preset 1, so I'm going to go 0 over here. If I want preset 2, I'm going to switch it to number 1. So let's try that. So I'm going to go into it, I'm going to back out, and now preset B comes on. It still has the trem name, but it's the same thing. So I'm going to go back in. If I want to change back to patch 1, I switch this to 0 because I want this patch right here. Go out, re-click it, and that's it. So do that so on and so forth for the other ones. And like I said, how I have this set up is the Mobius on these first 2, Time on these second 2, and Big Sky on these next 2. All right, so let's say if you don't want to have all 3 on, what does that MIDI chain look like? So I'm going to go over here to my clean sound. My clean sound always has a small slap delay on. As you can see, the Big Sky and Mobius are completely off right now. So let's go take a look at what those MIDI channels do. We're going to go to MIDI out again, scroll to the top. We have our same exact template and layout. So I know exactly which pedal and where it is that I want to edit. So the Mobius right here, strip 1, MIDI channel 1, CC notes selected as far as the function, 102 because that controls on or off in the Strymon pedals, and then 0 means that the pedal is off. Once again, if we want to turn that on, scroll over, change this value to 127. We're going to leave it off for now. And now, right now, I have my timeline on, so I know it's strips 3 and 4, MIDI command 2 on both, CC notes 127 to turn this on, and program change number 4. So if I go into my banks right here, so here's my 0, here's my 1, 2, 3, and then I want this preset, so it's going to be number 4, and that is number 4 right there. So then we go down to the Big Sky, it is off. So our CC notes right here, 102 and 0. On some of these, I just have the 6th strip left off if I'm not going to use it. And if I need to, then I just go in and kind of turn it on and do a program change if I need to. So hopefully that's clear as mud. It's the same function for every pedal. Your MIDI numbers and your CC notes may differ. So just because the Strymons are 102, and sometimes they are the same, but make sure that you are doing the right numbers because you'll get some crazy values and you may start controlling like reverb or like mix, all those things, decay, time with like 102 on a certain brand or a different pedal. If you're enjoying this video and it's helped you a little bit to understand MIDI, go ahead and leave a subscribe for more content like this, and also leave a comment if you have any questions. All right, this next thing has given me the biggest headache with the G3, and it's kind of just all on me, but it's a tricky way to set up tap tempos by using one of these foot switches without using an external tap. What it looks like all set up is that I choose to do this upper foot switch as my tap tempo. The Mobius is a little off screen, so just look at the Strymon one right here. If I tap it in, it does a tap tempo thing. Super cool. And that means that it also doesn't change my patch. So I can go to any patch and this is still going to be a global tap tempo, which I absolutely love. So let me show you how to set it up. So first off, I'm gonna act like we haven't done anything yet. So let me go out of that. All right, so we have a normal foot switch right here. Nothing different. We're gonna go into our menu. We're going to go into Stomp Box, and I have it on Flash Stomp, and that's what we want. So yours will be on normal stomp, go down to sticky stomp, and then end on flash stomp. Then back out of that. All right, so we have the stomp set up. Now we're gonna go in and we're gonna do our MIDI commands. This part's pretty easy. You just need to send out 2 commands, and this is where I kind of go off the template a little. I only have 2 pedals that are receiving tap tempo information, so I just put them right next to each other, and then I never have to touch them again because I'm always gonna use this as the tap tempo. So MIDI channel 1, once again, is the Mobius. MIDI channel 2 is the timeline. And these can look exactly the same. So we want to go into it, we want to turn it on, MIDI channel 1, CC+. Now the number that controls tap tempo for all these pedals is number 93. And the cool thing is it says any value. So you can put whatever value you want in here. You can put like 13, 22, 127, it doesn't matter. So once you do that, you can back out, do the same exact thing for the Strymon timeline. 93, whatever value you want, I just keep it at 0, back out. And then the very last step that we need to do is turn on stomp box mode. Now, if we need to ever go back into this preset, you have to hold down the foot switch and push stomp box mode, because now we won't be able to get back into it. Once we click out of it, now it's running how we normally set up our pedal board, right? Just whatever patches we want, double click. I have the hidden presets set up too, to give me more options. I can click this. You can see on the timeline that it's going a little faster. We can make it really quick. And it's a global tap tempo too, so it doesn't even change with the patches. And I prefer it that way. I don't like to have tempo specific patches, at least for what I'm doing currently. So we just go like that, and we could re-tap in tempo. And now say down in the future, you're like, I get another pedal that needs a tap tempo information. You hold this down and you have to unclick stomp mode. And now you can go back into that foot switch. If you don't do that, there's no way to get back into it, because then it's just a tap tempo. I hope this has been helpful, and those are just my 2 tips on how you can maximize your switcher. And these kind of go across all switchers. It's going to be a different way to do it each time, but that's kind of the fun of it. If you're really knowledgeable in MIDI and switchers, please leave a comment. And if you have any questions, I hope that we can all help to answer those questions, and I'll do my best to answer those as well. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.